called Mary and Her Mother, Montparnasse, 1908. Mary has her own language. Mary, with her demanding blue eyes, who has never in her life slept for more than a few hours at a time, who has learned to run before she can even really stand, her momentum carrying her forward at a speed she can't control, so she falls daily, bruising her hands and scraping her knees. Clara says this little girl is entirely and completely his daughter, sprung fully formed from his head like the goddess in the story. I had nothing to do with how she turned out, she tells people. I was merely the vessel. Mary is Edward through and through. Mary's language is varied and subtle as any spoken by adults, with a grammar that sometimes uses her entire small body for punctuation, and a vocabulary ranging from intricate whispers to shouts of utter joy and unmitigated despair. She talks all the time. She is endlessly articulate. The only difficulty is that no one else speaks her language, and this causes her immense frustration. Try as she might, they are all slow learners. Even her parents can only manage a pigeon version at best. Sometimes they don't even get that right. They do know the more obvious, straightforward constructions, the command form, for example, even though Papa has let himself in quietly to the apartment, hoping not to disturb them, Mama and Mary, if they are resting in the middle of the afternoon. Even though he's put his bags down softly beside the front door, Mary has heard him. She nearly trips over the door jamb as she comes charging out of the bedroom towards him and lunges for his legs to steady herself on his trouser cuff. She looks up at him with his own eyes. Da 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 da, she shouts, tugging at the cloth of his pant leg, and at least he understands. Up. He reaches and lifts her over his head and swings her back down, cradling her against his chest. She squeals a single formless word of delight and then begins to gurgle earnestly at him. She pulls on his shirt collar. She tries to put it into her mouth, but can't twist it around the right way. Clara has chased Mary from the bedroom, and now she is leaning, looking at them, one arm against the doorframe for support. Smiling sleepily, she watches Edward as he carries his daughter around the room in a victory lap. She seems recovered, Edward says. Her color is good. She's much better, Clara replies. No sign of that cough for weeks now. Careful, don't let her chew on your shirt buttons. She might swallow one. She's been putting things in her mouth all month. She's got 2 new teeth on the bottom. Take a look. And indeed, when Mary smiles, he can glimpse 2 tiny white squares, perfectly formed, poking through the pink of her gums into her mouth. Edward feels that it is immensely clever of his daughter to grow teeth. It is obviously a sign of innate brilliance, and he feels proud. Surely no other child has managed this business of teething quite so well before now. She is trying to eat his collar again. He gently pulls it out of her grip. Clara comes into the room and puts her arms around him from behind so her head rests between his shoulder blades. How was your journey? You must be exhausted. Would you like some coffee? He twists around to face her. Yes, but a kiss first, please. She stretches up to kiss him and then runs her fingers lightly along his cheek. It has been a terribly cold, terribly long January without you. She goes through to the kitchen and Edward sits down on the sofa with Mary on his knee. Now she has moved on from his collar to the strands of hair that fall over his face. She encloses them in her round baby fist and tries to pull them out. Ouch, that hurts, Edward tells her. What's she doing? Says Clara's voice from the kitchen. The apartment is so small, 3 rooms, 1 his studio, that they can hear each other wherever they are inside it. Pulling my hair. Ah, yes, she likes hair. It's almost as delicious as copper coins, though not quite as yummy as newspaper. I almost considered having mine all cut off, but I thought you wouldn't be very happy to come back and find your wife bald, and heaven knows it's dismal enough for me to look at myself in the glass right now without getting rid of my one remaining good feature. Here, she comes through from the kitchen. I'll take her if you like. He looks at her as she slides across the floor, reaching out to take Mary from him. In the 2 months he's been away, she's begun to take on the extra weight of her pregnancy, her body slowly transforming into something new. Her limbs have softened. The angles of her face have disappeared under flesh. Her belly protrudes now, so he can see where she is carrying their second child. The skin...